So today I saw Rocketman, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Now it certainly wasn't perfect, but so before we get into the positives, I'll go over the negatives. The pacing of this movie, like most musical biopics, is not very good at all. Tries to cover pretty much all of his life, and we go from one scene to the next. It's been years. This is a common problem with musical biopics. Bohemian Rhapsody was particularly awful at this. The pacing, it's too quick. We're not given enough time to sit and take it in. Now, it's nowhere near as bad in this movie as it was in Bohemian Rhapsody. In this movie, the pacing, it's less noticeable that there's a problem with the pacing. It's definitely much better. The story moves along maybe a little bit too quick. They skip over some stuff, as I said. Years is at one point in the movie, he just goes. Someone says to Elton John, "After all these years, you're leaving me." And we met this character like 3-4 scenes ago, and we've had 3 or 4 scenes with them, and now he just says it's been years. So that was probably the biggest problem with this movie, by a fair way as well. But it doesn't ruin the movie at all. The movie's still very enjoyable, even once you notice that there's a massive problem with the pacing. So, the pacing and the CGI isn't great. There's not much of it, so it doesn't ruin the movie. Same with the pacing. It's not, integral, the CGI. It's only in a few scenes that I noticed. So it was probably in more, to be honest, and I just didn't notice it. But the CGI that is noticeable is really noticeable and really obviously CGI. But other than that, those are my only 2 complaints with this movie. Other than that, this movie is just a great ride. Now, do not take your kids to go see this movie. In Australia, this is rated M, which is the same as a PG-13. I don't know how in God's name this got M. There are F-bombs and a couple uses of the C word and the other F word that you definitely cannot say. So I don't know how this managed to get an M instead of an MA, which is the same as R. But I'm not complaining because I got to go in and see it, so yeah. So lots of swearing, so don't take your kids to go see this movie. There's also lots of drug use and sex scenes, so yeah, do not take young children to see this movie. For the love of God. The acting is all very solid. The acting is really, really good. Taron Egerton, is that how you say his name? Taron Egerton, in particular, is fantastic. He is brilliant as Elton John. The singing, the acting, he's just... I don't think they could have cast anyone better. This is an Oscar-worthy performance already, and we're only halfway through the year. He was phenomenal as Elton John. And the rest of the cast was all fantastic as well. Even the child acting, didn't really notice any problems with it, to be honest. I thought the child acting was pretty good, considering. So yeah, the acting is fantastic. The set design and the costuming is off the charts in this movie. It's ridiculous. You can tell it's set in 60s, 70s, 80s, even 40s or whatever. It is 40s, 50s, I'm not sure. But you can tell it's set 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. You can tell when it's set solely because of the costuming and the set design. It's ridiculous. It's so well done. The choreographed dance scenes. So something you might not know about this movie. This movie, when it does the singing, it's not like in Bohemian Rhapsody where it's them singing it. It's got full-on musical numbers with choreography and extras dancing and everything. It's ridiculous. But it's really fun to watch. It's really, really fun to watch those scenes. When the movie gets darker, it gets a lot darker, and you can see Elton slipping and falling into his depression and substance abuse and alcohol abuse and all that sort of stuff, and that's all really well done. This movie does not pull any punches. That was my biggest problem with Bohemian Rhapsody, other than the pacing. It was just not faithful to what actually happened because they wanted to hide all the blemishes and protect the legacy, quotation marks. But in this one, they are truthful. They show him being a dickhead to people. They show him snorting cocaine every other scene. They show him drinking every scene during this part. They show him pushing people away. They do not hold any punches, and it's really well executed. And it makes you feel for this character, even though he's being a bit of a dickhead. You feel bad for him. Because some of the things, they're not like in his control. And it makes you feel for him. And that a lot comes down to the performance by Taron Egerton. As I said, his performance is phenomenal. Of course, the music, it was an Elton John movie. The music was always going to be good. There was never any chance the music in this movie was going to be anything less than superb. And the visuals to go with the music is always fantastic as well. And the setting of Elton being in rehab, telling his life story, does help with the pacing issues. It kind of almost explains them away in a sense. Because when you're telling your life story to people, you're just going to skip from point A to point B. You're not going to give them all the filler stuff to develop your character. You're just going to tell them what happened. So that, in a way, kind of almost explains away the problems with the pacing. And so, this movie does fall into a lot of the standard music biopic tropes. Except it doesn't open with him at his about to walk on stage at his big famous final show, which I really liked, because that's just so cliche and boring at this point. It opens with him walking into rehab. So it plays on your expectations of, so he's walking through the door, he's about to walk on stage, he's about to do his big performance. He's walking into rehab. I really liked that. That was a good way to subvert expectations. So I really liked that. So yeah, it falls into a lot of standard music biopic tropes, but the presentation and the execution just elevates it to above everything else. Like, this is a really, really enjoyable movie to watch, and not just like enjoyable for the music, enjoyable for the set design, for the acting, for everything other than pacing and CGI, which, like, CGI, who really cares? It was never going to be ridiculous $300 million Thanos tier CGI. That's really all I've got to say. It's a really, really well-made, enjoyable movie that is not for children, does not hold any punches when it comes to the dark parts of Elton John's life. I would highly recommend the movie. I would give it a 9 out of 10, but the problems bring it down to an 8, or a 7 or an 8. Probably an 8. I reckon it's going to be an 8. So, Rocketman gets an 8 out of 10. What did you guys think of Rocketman? Did you like it, or did you not? And if you didn't like it, comment down below why I'm a talentless hack. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm going to try and make one of these for every single movie I see in the theatre, if you guys like them. So if you like them, comment below, tell me you want more. If not, I'll stop doing them. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.